The legend of La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, is one of the most well-known and feared folklore stories in Latin America. This legend has its roots in Mexico, but its variations are found in several Latin cultures. The story of La Llorona is passed down from generation to generation, teaching children about the dangers of wandering alone at night. According to the legend, La Llorona was a woman named Maria, known for her beauty and charm. She fell in love with a wealthy and powerful man, and together they had 2 children. However, the relationship began to crumble when Maria's husband became involved with another woman. Feeling betrayed and desperate, Maria drowned her children in a nearby river, hoping to rid herself of the pain and suffering. After realizing the gravity of her act, Maria threw herself into the same river, but instead of finding peace, her spirit was condemned to wander eternally. Now, as La Llorona, she roams rivers and lakes, crying and searching for her lost children. Her wails are heard on dark nights, and those who hear them believe that something bad is about to happen. La Llorona is often sighted by people living near bodies of water. She usually appears as a ghostly figure dressed in white, crying desperately. There are countless reports of terrifying encounters with La Llorona. In some cases, people claim to have been chased by her, while others report seeing their children almost being abducted by the vengeful spirit. The legend of La Llorona not only terrifies children, but also serves as a warning for adults. Some believe that La Llorona is a manifestation of guilt and regret, and that she is trapped in an endless cycle of pain and suffering. Despite being a legend, many people firmly believe in the existence of La Llorona. Stories of sightings continue to emerge, and the legend remains alive in popular culture. La Llorona is a grim reminder of the consequences of desperate actions and the lasting power of regret and guilt. The legend of La Llorona continues to be one of the most powerful and disturbing horror stories, evoking fear and fascination across all ages. In 1974, Doris Bither, a single mother of 4, lived in a modest home in Culver City, California. Her life took a disturbing turn when she began experiencing inexplicable phenomena that would soon become one of the most infamous documented haunting cases. Doris started noticing strange events in her house, such as doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering for no reason, and the sound of footsteps when no one was around. These events soon escalated to something more sinister. Doris reported being frequently attacked by invisible entities, describing the attacks as physical and extremely violent. She began to display visible bruises and cuts, which alarmed not only her, but also her children. Doris's children also started experiencing paranormal activities. They reported seeing shadowy figures walking around the house, feeling strange presences, and hearing eerie whispers. The atmosphere in the house was always tense and filled with fear. Desperate, Doris sought help from UCLA parapsychologists, including Dr. Barry Taff and Carrie Gaynor. During their visits, the researchers witnessed intense paranormal activities. They reported seeing bright lights and nebulous forms appearing out of nowhere. On one occasion, green lights began to form around Doris, and a green, nebulous figure started materializing in front of several witnesses, including the investigators. The attacks continued to increase in intensity and frequency. In one of the investigations, a green entity was seen attacking Doris, an experience that traumatized everyone present. The manifestations were documented and analyzed, but no one could explain what was happening with scientific precision. The investigators also discovered that Doris's history had tragic elements. She had a history of abuse and trauma, which could have attracted or amplified the paranormal activity. Doris's psychological stress seemed to fuel the negative energy in the house. The situation worsened to the point where Doris decided to move, but the phenomena followed her to her new residences. She continued to report attacks and frightening visions until the end of her life. Doris Bither never found peace, and her story became the basis for the film, The Entity. The case remains one of the most documented and disturbing in paranormal history, raising questions about the nature of hauntings and the impact of trauma on the perception of the supernatural. Story 3. The Villisca Axe Murders. On June 10, 1912, the small town of Villisca, Iowa, was shaken by a horrific crime. That night, 8 people, including 6 members of the Moore family and 2 visiting children, were brutally murdered in their home. This case shocked the nation and remains one of the most intriguing and disturbing mysteries in U.S. criminal history. Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 friends of the children, Lena and Ina Stillinger, were killed with an axe while they slept. The bodies were discovered the next morning by a neighbor, Mary Peckham, who became concerned when she saw no activity at the Moore house. The crime scene was gruesome. The killer had used an axe to murder everyone in the house, starting with the parents and then moving on to the children. The heads of each victim were covered with clothing after the murder, and all the windows in the house were covered with sheets, blocking any view from the outside. The investigation revealed that the killer had likely hidden in the attic until the family fell asleep. He then descended and, with indescribable fury, attacked everyone in the house. There were no signs of forced entry, and the crime appeared to have been meticulously planned. Despite intense investigations and several suspects, the crime was never solved. Among the suspects was a traveling reverend named George Kelly, who confessed to the crime, but his confession was later deemed incoherent and he was acquitted. Another suspect was a state senator, Frank F. Jones, who allegedly had a feud with Josiah Moore over business issues. However, no concrete evidence was found to link any suspect to the crime. The mystery surrounding the Villisca murders has generated numerous theories and speculations over the years. Some believe the crime was the work of a serial killer, while others think it was an act of personal revenge. The Moore house was restored and turned into a museum. Today, it is a popular destination for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts.